Good morning, welcome to my world. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I've been up doing kiddie stuff, and this is the bread making business. I'm in my kitchen, and what I've got, I bought a sourdough starter on the internet just to see what that's like. And this is in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add what I need to add to that starter to turn it into a starter like mine, which is this one. And I pretty much keep a white bread starter going all the time, and then when I'm going to bake a dark loaf, which will look something like this for a really dense rye one, or this for a mixed wholemeal one, I make up a starter, and this is how I make up my starter. I'll talk about measurements in terms of cups. I have a cup, I use that cup, and that's the cup I do all my measuring from. So it doesn't matter how big your cup is, because you use 1 cup of water, 1 cup of flour, a cup of starter. Hopefully I'm doing this on my own because no one else is awake. I've got a rye bread flour here, so I'm going to take 1 cup flour, and I'm just going to get half a cup of water. And this is half a cup of water. Mix it. I use a knife to mix it. What you'll notice when you start working with is sourdough is that the sourdough starter gets absolutely everywhere, and it's disgusting stuff to work with. I recommend in Lakeland they do these funny little silicone cleaning pads. They look like this. Buy one of those. This is a dirty one, and then just chuck it in the dishwasher. But using a knife to mix up the starter, just get it all mixed in. Don't worry about lumpy, because the lumps will get taken away as the starter starts to do its thing. Just get it all mixed in as best you can. And then I just scrape the knife off, just keep all that in there. Just put a lid on this and pop it in the fridge. Now if you keep it with a lid on in the fridge, you need to feed that once a week, but I won't feed that now. I'll probably use this tomorrow or the next day to make a loaf, and I'll show you now what we do when we make a loaf. Right, I've got my apron on now. It's going to get a bit floury, so I've got a bowl from a mixer, and in here I've added 2 cups of, this is a plain white bread making flour. This is like an organic French bread style. I've got my starter, and I'm pretty much just going to tip and push with a knife in here the lion's share of this starter. So I've put that much in, and then I've got that much left in the container. So like I said earlier, this is a 100% white bread starter, and then all I do, exactly the same as I did before, I take this, I've got a cup of that white flour again, and I'm just going to add half a cup of water. So that's all ready, lid's on, and it's going in the fridge. Alright, I've got, as I mentioned, my 2 cups of flour in there. I've got my cup, and I've got here a bag of whole wheat bread flour from Arthur's Deli in Topsham, keeping it local. So, top up the cup. This is ridiculous trying to video myself doing this. And into, oh, I've got an assistant. I'm just videoing myself making bread. Would you want some of Daddy's bread?
No thanks, I don't like bread.
There we go, she just had toast for breakfast.
Where's milk?
Upstairs. So now we add in about a cup of water. Now this is by no means an instructional video. Okay, that's how you fill up a cup of water. It is just to give you an idea of what we do to make the bread that you guys get to eat. So it goes in there, rather than just go to the shop and buy it. We do buy some bread in, we can't possibly make all our own bread, but we make some as well. Now I mix this up one-handed, carrying a telephone and pointing it right in the right direction a little bit. So in here I've got 2 cups of white flour, 1 cup of wholemeal flour, and about a cup of starter, or maybe a bit more than that. I'm going to get it on the machine. You can do it by hand, but life is too short. And then I put a cloth over the top of the machine, like this, stop the flour going everywhere. So this has been mixing now for a couple of minutes. So you can see the bowl's clean. Don't know if you can hear me alright. I have bought a microphone for future filming, and it's all around the dough hook. I'm going to speed it up now, and I'll speed it up and give it about five minutes until it starts to make that kind of slapping noise all the time, but I'll come back to it in 5 minutes. It's mixing quite well. You can see it's making that slapping noise, and the mixer's jumping around all over the workstation. So I've got a teaspoon of Cornish sea salt, and I add the salt at this stage. I don't know why. I'm sure somebody like Richard Bertrand will tell you, but if you add the salt too early, it does something to affect the gluten strands in the bread. And now I'll turn that off, turn it back on again to make sure that salt's mixed in, and then that's off. There we go, it's all sticking nicely to the dough hook. I'm going to use my knife to get that off and get it into the bowl. The next job that you have to do is kind of form it. So I'll balance my phone precariously there and attempt to show you. What you do, put the tap running, get my hands nice and wet. So don't floury hands or anything like that, just really wet hands. And the worst case scenario, your hands will be really wet and you'll just get more hydration in the bread, which is fine. Keep wetting your hands and dripping all over the floor. And you just do this kind of motion where you form it into like a ball, so I'm kind of turning it in on itself. And then I drop it kind of smooth side down. Quickly rinse my hands. So
Are you still videoing yourself?
I'm still videoing myself, yeah. And then I just leave it in that, put some cling film on it, and then leave it in the fridge until this time tomorrow. And then this time tomorrow, this is a white bread one that's been in.
Daddy, that's where the I got something for yogurt.
Yeah, do you know where it is?
No.
So this one's been in the fridge. I'll come and get it for you in a second if you want. This has been in the fridge for a day. I'm just going to do exactly, so you see it's kind of got more volume to it. I'm too short now. This is 100% white bread in this one because I ran out of wholemeal flour. Hence I went to Arthur's to buy some more. He also stocks some mixed bread making flours and a whole range of other flours. They're all very good. So I'm doing exactly the same thing, which is just turning it in on itself, and just do about 3 or 4 more turns. And doing that, you start to see like air bubbles popping through. Doing this is what builds body and structure in your loaf, and it'll get you a lot more rise in it. And then they get cling filmed or beeswax paper or something to stop the air going in and stop it forming a crust. Back in the fridge, and then tomorrow I'll bake this. So I've fed the starter, I've made a new starter, a brown bread starter, we've made one dough mix up. We've turned over another dough mix, then I've got another brown bread one which I turned over, which I didn't video. So I won't be baking today, I'll bake those tomorrow. So this is the next day, and I've got this is a white one that I've made. Where we knocked up the starter, which was the brown starter, which looks like this. So I don't think there's enough activity going on in this starter yet. So I'm going to leave that starter for one more day and use the white bread starter that I've got. So I'm knocking up the next loaf now. But you can see how lovely and bubbly this one is, which is this is 100% white, and I've got a whole wheat one into a proving basket. So in a minute, when my photography assistant gets down, we're going to attempt to do two-handed, two people work now. So here she is. Oh, that is it. Start with me. Yeah. Right.
Don't be cock about it.
Right. I'll leave that bit in.
Don't
So
be
what I'm
cock
going to
about
do is
it.
shake this
Don't
into
be
the
cock
loaf.
about it.
I run the tap, get my hands wet. The dough will kind of stick to itself, so I'm kind of turning it in again, which is giving it its strength. This would probably benefit from another day actually in the fridge. And you kind of pick it up, and it's a bit like trying to shape jelly. Then I'm going to drop it into the proving basket.
Don't be cock about it.
Just shape it up a little bit, and because that's proved in the fridge, I'll only leave it in there for about half an hour to come up to room temperature, and then I'll drop it into the pot. Right, I'm back on my own again. My assistant resigned. She didn't want to work with us anymore. So what I've got is in the oven. I've got the oven on full whack, which is about 220. So 220. And inside the oven is what the Americans call a Dutch oven. I call it like a Le Creuset casserole pot. So I'm going to take that out, and it's super hot. So what we do is we take off the lid. We get our loaf. Don't normally do this one-handed, and we just pop it into the middle of that pot. I then take my trusty Opinel bread knife, score, replace the lid. She's just gone to work. We put the lid on, and then we do something where, let's see if I can do this, I get a spray bottle. Grace is upstairs in the shower, and Lily's in a bedroom. And we fill the Dutch oven Le Creuset with steam. Well, we don't, we spray water in it, which I think makes steam, or some kind of science happens. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. This is where commercially you'd have like a big steaming oven or something like that. Light in the background, it's a nice sunny day. Back in the oven, set the timer for 25 minutes. And then have a cup of tea. Right, the beef's gone off, so what's happened at the moment is the bread has been in the oven, so that's my breakfast, for 25 minutes with the lid on. So all I'm going to do is take the lid off. I've got another assistant camera woman now, so if you can have a quick look in there, Lil. You see that? How much that's risen? That's a brown loaf that's doing that. And the other loaf I've got in here is a white loaf. So it should rise more of the white bread, yeah? Go on then, got that?
Yep.
So now I'm going to close the door. I always put that on top of there to remind myself that they're really hot, because in about 5 minutes I'll go and move one of those and burn my hand. I'm going to reset the timer for 25 again, but I tend to set it for about 20, 22, 23 and then go and have a look. So in about 23 minutes we'll go back and have a look. Cool. Right, beaver's gone off, so we're going to get them out of the oven. I'll move the lids out of the way. I'm going to get my oven gloves. There we are. Go with this one first, because I want in first. There we go. Now, best thing to put a cloth on the counter, because there's always a load of flour and stuff in the bowl. Get that out. Lid on. Next one coming out. That one out. Put that one up there. And then, like I said, I always leave the cloth over the top of there, otherwise you might burn yourself because you'll forget. So the best way to check that loaf is done is pat it on the underside, and if it sounds hollow, it's done. I don't know what it sounds like if it's overdone. Same with that one. So sourdoughs are always got a real big crust on them, and often it can be quite dark and quite burnt. That protects the loaf really well actually, so it'll last, you know, for quite a long time before you cut it open. But you know, if you find the crust too hard, then don't eat the crust, cut them off. There we go, that is the sourdough loaves that we made, the white and rye and wholemeal, and they will be on their way to the Pig and Palle on the Globe today.